What's up, guys? This video probably going to be, I've been sitting in front of the camera for about 30 minutes trying to think of how I'm going to do this, talk about this. It's about the same magnitude as whenever I did my video about Scientology the first time. It's difficult to talk about because I'm very afraid that my family, that this will be it. Like, I mean, I'll talk about this and then similar to how Scientology, once you speak about it, it's over, you know. And this video is pretty personal, family stuff, but I have to talk about it because, and I'm ready to. A while back I posted a video, and Orsi, one of the subscribers, said don't talk about anything until you're ready to. That's good advice. So I'm ready to. The person in my life, his nickname is Cowboy. He was given that nickname by my great aunt because he wanted to be a cowboy. It's my stepfather. And I didn't know he was not my father until much later, but a couple months ago, whenever I hit the road, Jack, it was because I was just done with the with the dysfunctional nature of our relationship. And a lot of the family doesn't know the specifics. Maybe I thought they knew. Maybe they know some. And Holly, if you're watching, I just want you to know that I'm not doing this to bring any shame on the family or anything like that. I love you very much. When I left home, when I was a kid, as a teenager, Holly wasn't much older, but her and her husband, Richard, they let me stay with them for a short time. I didn't have anywhere else to go, so they let me stay, and I'll never forget, and I can never repay you for that, and I love you. And Mom told me you watch the video, so I just wanted to tell you that you and Richard, even though it was a long time ago, you guys helped me. I know I was fucked up, and maybe you didn't quite get it, but Holly and Richard, there is no way that I can express my gratitude. And if you at all feel guilty for selling me that Dianetics book, please don't. You were trying to help me just like you helped me before. You saw your your cousin that you love in a lot of pain, and you just wanted to help. So please don't feel guilty about that. I love you very much. I'm so happy that you and Richard are still together and have such a beautiful family. Okay. So, Cowboy. I told you this was going to be harder. And for those of you who watched the first video and needed to play it twice as fast, you might want to do that on this one too. Because this is hard. And I may stumble and may take some time to get through. Before I was born, my mother had an affair with my biological father, and she got pregnant with my brother Travis. At the time, she was a stay-at-home mom, not single. She was a stay-at-home mom, and she had 2 children with Cowboy, and that pregnancy was a horrific experience for my mother. She was abused physically, sexually, emotionally. And the extent is far beyond what probably most of my family knows. You know, in my family, my mother is, she's well liked and loved, but there's been times when people think she is a little reactive, a little overreactive. What's the word I'm looking for? Embellishes. For dramatic effect, you know, but the truth is that the things that that she said to people over the years that have been held in this sort of like, I can't believe that happened. Maybe it was, you know, there's 2 sides to every story. I mean, even with some of the things that she probably has told people, she hasn't told them everything. And sometimes I wonder if she's told me everything. She's told me a lot. But during her pregnancy with my brother, Cowboy, Cowboy tried to force abortions. And I don't mean, hey, why don't you go get an abortion? I mean, having sex with her, anal sex, and then immediately vaginal sex to give her infections, so that the complications might cause miscarriage due to the infection. At one point, he wanted to meet my biological father and pretended to be okay with it, as if she could have the child and the child could know his father. But when my mother arranged for this meeting and my biological father walked into the room, Cowboy ran and kicked him in the nuts and then busted the door down, grabbing my mother and threw her and got her in the car. And as they were on their way home, at this point she was well into her third trimester. He punched her in the stomach. There was an 18-wheeler that saw from the cab and pulled over and blocked the road as he saw that this man punched a pregnant woman. My mother has told me this a couple of times. She wanted to get out of the car and leave and just never come back. But she felt that if she moved or did anything sudden, she would most certainly lose the baby, because Cowboy is a pretty strong dude even now. He's got big ham fists. Now, I'm not talking about this to discredit the man. But I'm also not going to make excuses for him anymore. And I wish that he would get help. Now, when my mother had Travis, Cowboy was threatening to kill the baby, making threats, and some of his own family was concerned about that. My mother had talked to her doctor because she was afraid for Travis's well-being, and she had arranged through her doctor an adoption. And the family that adopted him was not able to have children at that time. It's funny how that works, you know. After they adopted, it was like, and they had a child, and I guess certain things biologically happened. It was a miracle, really. After they got Travis, they were able to have 2 more sons. Now, after Travis was born, my mother had the option to get Travis back if she changed her mind, and the state would send letters, paperwork, and Cowboy would destroy these letters. Now, after that ordeal, horrific pregnancy and abuse, my mother moved in with her folks, and she and Cowboy got separated. During that time, she got pregnant for me. And her little sister, Juanita, my aunt, and my grandparents, they were all living together. And thank God for my aunt. My mother really needed somebody to be compassionate and loving towards her and her child that she was carrying. My biological father was told that Travis died during childbirth. And Travis's adopted parents received very disturbing phone calls. This is back in the 80s, no cell phones, no caller ID. They get these phone calls of a woman who's not my mother, pleading that she wanted her baby back, screaming, "I want my baby back. Give me my baby back." It's terrifying, I'm sure. It was actually, it shook her up so much, my brother's mother, that at a certain point she talked to her husband about moving out of the country, because no matter where they were, somehow this person will get their phone number, call and harass them. It was very distressing. And I was born about 18 months after Travis was. And I don't really know the circumstances as to how Cowboy convinced my mother to not divorce him. But I do know that my mother brought me to him to make a point when I was a baby. And she brought me to him and said, "Look at this child, how could you want to hurt this baby?" And from there, I really don't know or understand how things progressed with their relationship until later. But the abuse wasn't just with my mother or me. My brother Mark was beaten with books because he wasn't understanding his schoolwork. And he would beat my brother with books, hit him in the head, and call him idiot and stupid. And to this day, my mother hates that word, stupid. She doesn't like it when you call people stupid. I remember when my brother Mark left home, he was 17. He had gotten someone pregnant.
my brother Mark. I remember it very well. He didn't want to leave me, but he couldn't stay. My brother Maynard had already left, so it was just me and my mom and Cowboy. After Mark left, I remember waking up at night, hearing my mother and Cowboy screaming at each other, and I would pray to God that they could just get along and not fight. And one night, about midnight, my mother woke me up while Cowboy was at work and told me that we were leaving. I was 8 years old. And I didn't know where we were going until we got in the car. And I was very upset. I didn't understand why. I knew that they were arguing. I knew things weren't right, but I didn't know. As a child, I didn't know. My mother asked me what she should do. Driving on Interstate 10, I'm in the back of the car. She's crying, I'm crying. I don't know what to tell her. I told her, Mom, just do what makes you happy. As a child, I just wanted everyone to be happy. We went to my biological father's parents' house. My mama and papa. I didn't know they were really my mama and papa. I was told that I call them that out of respect. And when I woke up the next morning, there was a man there that I had met a couple times before, who was always really nice to me. His name was Mr. Dwayne. And they took me in the living room, and my mother and Mr. Dwayne took me in the living room, and then I heard people coming in the house, and I heard voices talking, but didn't know who they were, and I was so shook up. And my mother said, I want you to meet your father. And I'm so confused. I'm like, we just left Dad, you know. Dad's not here. And Dwayne was looking at me, and he was so happy to see his son. As a father now, you know, I have a different perspective. And I know what it's like to be apart from your children. And I can only imagine the happiness and the hurt that he had been feeling for so long. I'm sure that was a great day for him. It was a very weird day for me. Because after I was introduced to my father, my half-brother and my half-sister came in and he introduced me to them. And then my mama and papa came in and this is your family. Now Stella is almost 7. And when I think about some of the things that I experienced, around her age, I honestly, I don't know if I could contain my anger. For things like that to happen to my daughter or my son. I don't know if I could contain it. And my brother Maynard was incredibly incensed and completely well, there was a period of time where it seems like he hated my mother for doing what she did. And from that point, Cowboy was determined to get custody of me. Now, this is a non-biological parent. And there's a lot that I'm leaving out because there's just so much, but like I said, the phone calls and there's other things too that occurred in these spans of time where he was actively trying to sabotage and play mind games with Dwayne, my biological father. And he's good at that. He's very good at fucking with people's heads. He's also very good at being intimidating and threatening. And so my mother married Dwayne. They got married. And I remember being a little upset because I wasn't I don't think I was at the wedding. Maybe I was, I don't know. But the divorce was filed and custody was every other weekend with Cowboy. And there was this massive conflict, and I was kind of in the middle of it. The court system didn't want me involved because I was a minor. wasn't able to make, a decision one way or the other of who I wanted to live with. Plus, filing for full custody of a non-biological child was in the early 90s in Louisiana. As much as I feel like the court system here is biased towards the mother, it was even more so then. So it was a very not only was it a expensive thing for Cowboy to do, it was also a very, unlikely possibility that he would actually win custody. But as I said, he's very good at manipulating situations, and he had private investigators watching everything we did, watching everything that Dwayne did. Dwayne, from the other video I told you, he was a E5 in the Army, retired. He also was retired in the process of retiring from Gulf States Energy, but he had been hit by an 18-wheeler, very bad wreck, and was prescribed all kind of medications. And on top of that, he drank a lot. Now, I hated that, because he would take the medication and drink on top of it, and he was a really smart, intelligent, funny guy. Loved music. Very encouraging to me, very loving, very big heart. But he was also very troubled, And as I said, now with the perspective of being a father, I can't imagine. I can only assume that a lot of his behaviors and addictions were to